Hello, I'm Panos Kotzathanasis, and this is ASEAN Movie Pulse Interviews. Today I'm here with Woo Ming Jing, whose film in Indera just screened in BIFAN. It screened or it premiered there? Is it the first screening?
Yeah, it's the first screening. It's
Oh,
actually the world premiere. Yeah,
okay. So how was the world premiere?
yeah, it was great. It's great. Was a little nervous to show it to a foreign audience for the first time. But it was great. I liked seeing it on the big screen with an audience.
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So first thing that comes to mind about your movie is usually like horror movies like yours mostly take place during the night, but your film mostly takes place during the day. It's more light than dark. So why did you choose this approach?
Well, first and foremost, the film is more of a psychological
Okay. Yeah.
horror film, and it deals with to me fatherhood. It's mainly about the father and his daughter, his mute daughter, that struggle of a relationship between them, and in the film, we sort of learn why. I am not, I was trying to make sort of a slightly slow burn horror, and we have night scenes, but for me, I just didn't want to limit the definition of horror, with just jump scares and the typical sort of night sequences. So we divided the film, equally between day and night.
Okay, okay. And tell me a bit about the title. I'm not sure of its meaning.
That's Indera just actually means senses.
Uh-huh.
So how we feel, the exterior senses and also our interior senses.
Okay, and the background of the story of the film is the Memali Incident. Can you tell me a bit
Correct.
about that and why did you want to include it in the
Okay.
movie?
Well, I initially I was influenced by the films by Guillermo del Toro, especially The Devil's Backbone, which had this Spanish Civil War setting. And when we worked with the writers to write it, first with an Indonesian writer and then with a Malaysian writer. The Malaysian writer, who is quite familiar and is actually sort of very interested in the history of Malaysia. It was actually his idea when I told him that I wanted to include a setting that has this tension there. And the incident is not obviously outside of Malaysia, nobody knows about it. And in the film, I realize it is a little bit hard for them to understand it, but for Malaysians, they will know Memali. They will know that because it's a very controversial sort of event where a village was held under siege by the police, and because of some ideological differences, and then the police decided to sort of um, uh, uh, I guess, crush the rebellion, so to speak. I wanted, to set the film in that sort of setting where, and amounts all these things happening. A father is just trying to resolve his personal issues and his family issues. He's just trying to get by, and this other larger thing is actually not important to him, but it does sort of end up enveloping him. And yeah, so that's why we included that setting.
hmm hmm Okay. And also the film deals like with the concept of having children, which was
Yes,
like a point of friction between husband and wife. So
yes,
what is your
yeah.
opinion on the subject?
Well, actually, it's a very interesting point you brought up. The my main idea actually of the entire film is that this film is about failed parenthood.
Mm,
And I told this to the writer. I said, I want to make a sort of like a horror film about the failures of a father.
mm,
And I hope that it came across that way in the film, and because it really deals with a father's guilt and sort of his conflict about having a surviving daughter and yet losing, somebody his wife, somebody he truly wanted to be alive, and that it's that cognitive dissonance and that resentment in a way, because it's like he loses something. Maybe it's not that he doesn't like his daughter, but the cost that he had to give up to have this daughter is maybe too much for him to bear, and the film deals with that struggle, and that's why the lead character Joe, his relationship with his daughter Sophia is always just not, it's not right, and the film just, for me, it's about him trying to reconcile this guilt and this conflict that he has inside of him.
And what about the concept of crime and punishment? Because I also felt this was also part of the story, like what happens to
Right, right,
Jonathan.
right. Yeah. So there was a little bit of that, yeah, crime, and a little bit of greed and consequences of the things that you do, almost like a karmic cycle.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, those are some of the themes that I wanted to touch in the film. Yeah, we talked a lot about it with the writers, um, um, and there were actually a lot of other subplots that were in the script, but that we shot at. But in the end, we sort of shaved them out and to focus really on the father and the daughter's relationship. But yeah, I mean, you're right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And tell me a bit about the cinematography, what you wanted to do in the visual aspect of the film, let's say.
Well, in terms of the cinematography, our influence were in films like Ari Aster's, like Hereditary, the Joko Anwar's films, simple setups. I wanted mostly practical effects, very uh, sensual yet classically shot. So we didn't have any fancy devices, no drones, and no crazy camera movements. And I wanted to just make a very classically shot film in terms of in terms of the approach, because the film does take place in the mid 90s, 80s, sorry, 1985. So I wanted to have that sort of textural feeling towards the film as well, that it doesn't look too contemporary.
And the same question about the editing and maybe the pace of the film, let's say.
Right. The pace of the film, we and also the choice of music that we did, I hope it's not too slow for the audience. It's a little it does have this, it takes a while to simmer and to burn, and um uh but I didn't want to sort of over rely on music, and I wanted the characters to have the time to sort of to build, and the tension to slowly build scene after scene after scene. So I hope it works. It was in editing, we did have a struggle as to what how we wanted to build the tension, because it's complicated. It's not a tradition. We don't have a lot of these jump scares or like visual effects, supernatural ghost in the film. But we wanted the film to have this sort of slowly uncomfortable feeling, this dooming feeling, and yeah, that's the approach towards the editing.
Okay, and can you tell me a bit about the casting? How did it work for the movie?
Well, we cast we made the film primarily for a Malaysian audience, and so we cast actually the two leads, the male and female lead, not the young girl, but the husband and wife. They're very like big actors in Malaysia. Shazi Sam is I've worked with him before, and he's a very well regarded and sort of like one of the best and top actors in Malaysia. And I felt like he had become a father as well to two young children, and I thought it'd be great that he'd take the role, and he actually gained some weight for it. He
Uh-huh.
he he acts in like action movies where he's like all beefed up or whatever, but for this one he's like, I'm gonna gain weight and I'm gonna play him a little slobbish. It was his idea, and I said, yeah, let's go for it, and he did that. And as for the person who plays the mother, Azira Shafinas, she's also a very well-known singer and actress, but very good actress as well. And I thought it worked really well. In terms of the lead, the young girl, we found her in casting as well, and she's fantastic. Yeah.
And Samara Kenzo?
Yes,
Oh,
Samara Kenzo, she's fantastic. Yeah,
uh-huh.
it's twice I've worked with her, so she's great. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. And was it difficult working with kids because there are a number of them in the film, or?
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, surprisingly, the children were very professional, and the you know we I expected a little more struggle working with the kids, but they were very professional, and they took to the material really well, and you could tell when we were shooting they were all quite they bonded together, and it was a pleasure shooting. It wasn't more difficult shooting the kids than sometimes the adults were more difficult to shoot.
Uh-huh. Okay. So you held auditions, or how did it?
Yeah, we held auditions for the kids.
Uh-huh.
So we had some recommendations, and then we held auditions, and then we narrowed it down, and then we chose the characters.
Okay. So which was the most difficult scene to shoot, would you say?
I think the most difficult scene to shoot were the ones in the hole, that hole, and I mean just from a technical standpoint, and the tunnel and that. Uh, to me, those were the difficult scenes, yeah, logistically. Outside of that, I think any night exteriors will be very difficult. Like we have some night exteriors in the bamboo. We have this bamboo forest, canopy. Those are pretty serious, pretty difficult as well. Yeah, so it- all, but the whole was, because we built a set, and yeah, it was a challenge. It was my first time, dealing with this sort of horror film, and it was challenging, no question about it.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, and what is your opinion of Malaysian cinema at the moment? What is the situation? Because last year I thought it was one of the best years in the history of local cinema, you know?
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. Last year was one of the best years. And I don't know if this year will be great. I think there's a lot of interesting young filmmakers coming out. I hope they make their films quickly. In terms of commercial cinema, we're seeing some variation, some different kinds of cinema coming out. And I'm trying to make films for Malaysian, Indonesian market and Southeast Asian market in general. So Indera, we hope will travel to Indonesia as well. But but Indera is primarily for the local market. But I think that's, filmmakers from Malaysia are starting to realize that they work together with the other Asian countries, and you can make pretty decent films. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, and so there are, when is the film going to open in Malaysia? Are there any plans set for?
Yeah, it's talking about it with the producer, and we are going to be the opening film of the Malaysian International Film Festival
Uh,
later this month. So that's the first time that Malay, the film will be exposed to a local to the public in Malaysia, and then from there we hope to release it at the end of the year, uh, or I mean, worst case, it's early next year. So this is a discussion with the distributor. So we are going theatrical for this film. So we won't go straight to OTT or anything. So because I do think that the film needs to be watched in the cinema, and I saw it in the cinema, and it's just way better than watching it on a laptop or on a TV. So it's so with the sound and the environment. So yeah, that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're aiming for.
Okay, great. And last question, I guess, future projects after this, what are you
Well,
doing?
yeah, I just shot a film called The Fox King,
Uh-huh.
also a Malaysian Indonesian co-production, which stars Dian Sastro from Secret Girl, the
Mm-hmm.
Netflix, and that's more of a coming of age, sort of a sweet Marlena-ish kind of a story. We have we have some stuff happening, some unexpected stuff happening, and then I'm developing a few other films that I hope to shoot. Hopefully next year. I'm I'm trying to be more prolific now, because so I'm hoping to do like 2 in 3 years. So that's the clip that I'm aiming for. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And will you be cooperating with Edmund Yeo again? Because you used to be
Uh,
very close.
yeah, Fox King, Edmonds, and I editing it now. He's
Mm,
one of the producers. So it depends. It depends on which project goes. So my company, Greenlight Pictures, we're developing, two or three projects, and sometimes it's hard to know which project will be the one that gets made. So depending on the situation, depending on luck. So yeah, so yeah, I hope he's involved. Yeah.
okay.
Mm.
Wait, I guess that's it. Thank you very much
All
for your
right.
time.
Thank you so much, Panos.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, good
yeah.
luck with the
Talk later.
movie moving forward and talk to you later. Have a nice day.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you
bye.
so much. Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
Bye.